Hello, this is Lorena, and I'm back with a video. Now, today I would like to discuss something that is pretty serious. Yes, I'm going to go into something that I've been struggling with for years. Anhedonia. And I'm going to be upfront here. For now, I'm not going into details that I believe caused my anhedonia. I'm also not going into how I'm still functional because I'm planning to cover all of this in another video in the future. It isn't the right time to share my entire story and all of my experiences, but I'd like this video to be focused on anhedonia, what it's like, and how I'm coping with it. And don't worry, I have a lot to say. I can't go into all of it at the moment. It's not appropriate. Yeah, let's just go with that. In any case, I should begin by defining anhedonia. Now, what is it? It is basically the inability to experience enjoyment and pleasure. While there is more to the condition than that, it is worth mentioning that I'm not a professional. I can't actually explain everything about it, and I am no expert, even though I'm crippled with it, even though I've got this. Now, why do I want to discuss this? Why do I want to talk about being unable to experience enjoyment and pleasure? Well, there isn't actually much information out there. Now, I cannot tell any sufferers of anhedonia how to recover, because unfortunately, I'm no professional, but if I was, it seems like professionals are scratching their heads when it comes to treating it. Yeah, I'll just be honest. I told an old psychiatrist back in 2017 that I have developed anhedonia. You know his response? He increased the dose of my antidepressant. Now, I don't think this did anything bad, but it definitely didn't do anything to alleviate symptoms either. And that is what really drove it home for me, that anhedonia is not easy to treat. You cannot treat it the way that you would treat other conditions. And by the way, just because anhedonia is listed as a symptom for a mental health condition, that does not mean you can treat anhedonia the same way you treat that condition. Anhedonia is listed as a symptom of depression. And because I'm diagnosed with it, that's why my psychiatrist's first move was increasing my antidepressant, because he thought that was why I had it. No, that is not why I had it, but I will go into that later. At a more appropriate time, when I believe I can do so without the risk of trauma. Yeah, all of that. Anyway, moving forward. What is it like to have anhedonia? Well, to put it simply, you feel dead inside, and this feeling can range from severe to moderate to, you still function, at the very least. And I believe I am at a very, very mild version of anhedonia at this point in time. Now, in 2017, my condition worsened to the point where I experienced it full textbook. It was a struggle to even type one sentence. Yeah, it got that bad, and a lot of people with anhedonia, that is their reality on a daily basis. Some people with it lose their spouses. They lose important connections with family members, like their children. They experience breakups, their lives just completely fall apart because they lose the ability to experience any form of pleasure and enjoyment, and along with this comes a lack of motivation and sometimes a lack of empathy. Now, lacking empathy does not mean that people with anhedonia are complete sociopaths. I am not saying that. I am simply saying that people with anhedonia can lose their ability to be sensitive to how others are feeling. Because anhedonia generally dulls emotions, all of them. When I experienced anhedonia at its worst, I lost the ability to experience pretty much every emotion. Well, if you want to know how bad it was, I lost the ability to experience boredom. Yes, that's right. For a time, I could not experience boredom. And now this was a positive, but I also couldn't experience pleasure and enjoyment. I had no sense of humor. I was barely getting by, and I was watching brains mostly while I was completely dead inside without any emotion whatsoever. And now, this does not mean I actually had no emotions. No, anhedonia dulls your ability to experience enjoyment and pleasure. And that does not mean you lack emotions entirely. For me specifically, I could still cry, I could still get scared, I could still get embarrassed, all of that good stuff. All of the negative shit rolled into one. But I could not enjoy anything. I could not take pleasure in anything. So everything I did was an act. And now I would like to take the time to address why a certain bunny space whatever thing is in the background. And the person right beside that creature of complete... Well, I can't even pronounce his name, but to be fair, I can't pronounce everything in English, so... Sorry, Japanese people, I can't pronounce English very well either. I'm sorry. But, yeah. That creature is basically from the franchise this girl is from. Now, this girl's name is called Yozuru. Now, Yozuru is a coordinator from the game Magia Record. Now, Magia Record is currently in Taiwan. It's currently in the regions of Taiwan, Chinese, and Japanese. The English server shut down last year. And I heard the Taiwan server is shutting down soon, too. I'm not sure when, but that doesn't sound good. And now, to be honest, I'm not too surprised, considering, when Taiwan was getting a celebration, I was like, it doesn't seem to be doing much better than the English version was. But yeah, I think the Chinese server and the Japanese servers are going to be just fine. Anyway, back to the main topic. Why did I put Yozuru in here? Because she's the closest example of what I was experiencing. Now, Yozuru made a wish with this douchebag on the left. I'm just going to call him douchebag for the rest of the video because I cannot pronounce his name, and I don't want to look it up. I don't want to look up the pronunciation. I don't want to listen to it. I'm just going to call him a douchebag, and that's what he is. He's a douchebag. And now Yozuru made a wish that was basically a curse. Yozuru, well, I don't want to discuss everything about her, but The result of her wish is she doesn't experience basic empathy and kindness. And she keeps a journal. She studies this journal to figure out how to behave in certain situations because, again, she has lost her ability to empathize and be kind. This is because she lost all of this when she made her wish. And obviously, I can still be kind and I've got some amount of empathy, but that doesn't mean that I've got all the empathy, you know? Like, listen, I do have some empathy on mute, I'll be honest. And when I developed Anhedonia, I was very surprised by how my personality changed. I didn't stop caring about myself entirely. In fact, I started to experience a massive focus on myself and satisfying myself. And now this is very strange, I know, but I believe that there are many things about Anhedonia that no one understands. Absolutely no one. Like, even if the healthcare system in the US was good and proper, I still believe everyone in this country would be scratching their heads. Yeah, that's how bad I think Anhedonia is. I don't think it's easy to treat. And I have chosen not to pursue further treatment of Anhedonia because, yes, I still function. And because I have the privilege of putting on an act that nothing is wrong with me. And, in fact, I can do it to the point where basically no one can even tell that I've got this. I do not think it's worth the risk. Yeah, I don't believe it's worth the risk. I have heard of people trying to get treated for Anhedonia because, you know, who wants to deal with that crippling disease? Who can live with it? Well, apparently people like me that can go years without even realizing it's still there. Yeah, that's a thing. So, after 2017 wrapped up, I thought I reversed it. I thought I got rid of it entirely. But no, that was not true. And in 2020, I learned this information. And it was awful. Very, very awful. So how did I cope with this? Well, I was playing Magia record for most of the year. And I chose to cope with this similarly to how the coordinators cope with their wish. Mainly by using what they can do to help others. They basically help other magical girls become more powerful. They adjust their soul gems so they can keep fighting and all of that. And Yozuru here basically behaves in a way that the notebook tells her to. She does not know kindness or empathy, so since she relies on that notebook, yeah, she will definitely behave in ways that seem a bit off. But that's why the notebook is there, to help her. She wants to be able to show kindness and empathy, but obviously she's unable to as a result of her wish. So to redevelop that, Livia, the person that found her, gave her that notebook. At least I believe it was her. I know that Yozu definitely did not make that notebook herself. But she does carry it around and study it a lot. So, in a similar way as Jozuru, I have in fact put on quite the act myself. I went through quite a number of years just putting on this act that I was normal. There was nothing wrong with me. I could experience enjoyment and pleasure just like everyone else. When in fact that isn't true. And that is indeed not true. Now, when you have anhedonia, you struggle to care about other people because you can barely care about yourself at times. And yeah, it's very difficult to do self-care. It's difficult to maintain a job in certain circumstances. And it is very difficult to even go through a single day. Everything is just torture. It's the closest you can get to an actual zombie. Yeah, pretty much. And that's how I felt when I developed it, was I felt like a zombie. The closest that humanity can come to a zombie ever becoming real. Yeah, it was awful. But I did maintain my ability to somewhat care and to cry. I actually cried a good bit while I had it. So, as I was watching Brains, I pretty much experienced a lot of bullshit. That was like, Brains, why are you basically mirroring my life? Why do I relate to this story? Why is this story so much like what I'm writing? And there is an answer for that. Yes, there is indeed an answer. It is because... Hold on. It is because... Hold on. Kyobe, you're in the way. It is because Yusaku does not duel for fun. He doesn't really do anything for fun. In fact, I don't think any character does most things for fun. Most of the time, people are dueling because it's their life. Their life is on the line, or someone else's is. Or some other serious circumstance. So, you know why it mirrored my writing? Because my writing lost its life. It was sucked out of me. All the life that I had was drained from my writing. I read it and it was like, oh God, this story is so bad. And I realized when I looked back at it what the problem was because of Reigns. Oh, I see. That's the problem. It's too serious because there's no heart, there's no soul in it. And this isn't to say that Brains has no heart or soul in it, but it's definitely not the story you watch because you're interested in some good comedy and all that. Yeah. It's basically the peak of the comedy in Brains, that's it. And Kyobe, Yusaku should stay on screen, but whatever. So I decided to cope with my anhedonia the same way the adjusters and the coordinators in Magia Record are. I'm trying to bring back my ability to experience pleasure and enjoyment. But obviously, that takes time. And also, I don't even know how to do that. What I am doing, however, is I'm thinking about what I used to enjoy, what I used to like, and I'm acting based on that. So if you're confused as to how I can do some of this shit, well, I've got anhedonia, well, you'll soon learn this information. You'll soon learn. But it definitely does have to do with me, well, I do believe I'm starting to recover. It is not full recovery. Keep that in mind. It is still there. If I slow down too much, those feelings come back. I begin to feel dead inside, and I begin to experience the reality of what it is to have anhedonia. If you have anhedonia, well, you're probably not living the good life. I mean, I am an outlier. I do not make up the cases of all people with anhedonia. Most people with anhedonia do not get to live like I do. I am privileged in that way. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but I don't really want to risk my anhedonia getting worse, because professionals do sometimes accidentally do that when they're trying to treat their patients. They are not trying to cripple their patient with anhedonia even worse than it already is. It just happens as a side effect, and it's unfortunate, because I don't think most professionals want to be doing that. I think most of them are legitimately doing their best to treat their patient, but they aren't able to do it. Now, the United States is a case where, well, maybe some people are trying. Maybe some people just are doing a half-assed job at treating it. But I still think they're doing their best. I still believe that most professionals are legitimately doing the best with what they've got. That's just how it is. But if anyone in other countries has anhedonia, well, it's definitely rare to get it. So I believe that across the board, no matter where you live, and no matter in what country you're in, if you've got anhedonia, your life is probably shit. You probably aren't doing much. Now, for whatever reason, my anhedonia is, well, in the absence of being able to experience enjoyment and pleasure, which may not be entirely true, but I will go into that in a future video, by the way. But as far as I know, it seems that I'm on a hyper goal oriented. Yeah, I have to have goals. I have to work towards something. I have to use this ambition for something. I seem to be in this state where if I stop doing things, if I start taking a break, well, I start getting bored. And when I start getting bored, that is very, very bad. Especially since I have anhedonia. And my ability to experience boredom, well, it came back. It was not gone for very long. But yeah, there were a few months when I was dealing with anhedonia by taking energy supplements, which, by the way, I don't recommend you do that. I was doing it because I felt like I had no choice. I felt like I might as well risk it. Now, the product that I was using, well, I saw a lot of bad reviews on the internet, and I was like, well, I already feel dead inside, so if this product harms me, well, I'd rather live a decent life than this, whatever this is. So I took it to feel less like I was in a void, and to at least live, to be able to give off the impression that I have a life of some kind. And by the end of the year, I stopped taking it. Yeah, pretty much I stopped taking it. By the way, it was not the only thing I stopped taking, but more on that in the future video. So, I'm coping with anhedonia by putting on an act that everything's fine. Sure, that's what a lot of people do, right? I mean, that's basically normal for certain people, right? Well, to an extent, yes. But most people that are pretending that everything's fine, well, they still can experience enjoyment and pleasure. Because, again, it's not common to develop it. It is listed as a symptom of many mental health conditions, but that does not mean the patient will experience that symptom. Yeah, imagine that. It's a pretty rare thing to develop, so considering it's a symptom of one of my mental health issues, well, that doesn't help me get it treated. Like increasing the dose of my antidepressant, it wasn't depression that caused my anhedonia. I do have more information on what probably did later, but yeah, future video. In any case, would you like to hear more about anhedonia? You're probably saying, this sounds horrible. I cannot imagine what it's like to lose all of that. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on with me, actually, because if you have anhedonia, how do you have the ability to form goals? How do you have the ability to have any ambition? You don't have a sense of a reward from that. When I make YouTube videos, I don't feel like there's something to get out of doing it. Although, on the other hand, I do feel like I've learned a lot from doing this. I do feel like I'm getting something out of doing it, even though I can't explain it in the context of anhedonia. Which again goes into, well, is what I'm experiencing still anhedonia? Well, yes and maybe no. Maybe no. Yeah. I'm a complicated case here, but when I think about how dead inside I feel if I stop, if I pause and take a break, it's just, there's something lacking. Like, I was talking to my therapist in 2020 that I don't write because I enjoy it. I write because I do want to be a writer legitimately, but when my therapist said to me, yeah, I can tell. You were not writing for the sake of pleasure and enjoyment. And I was like, oh God, oh God, that is how bad this is. She could tell. And I was actually going to ask her, can you tell any difference between me and last year? And I forgot. You know, I was thinking I was forgetting something, but I forgot to tell her. I forgot to bring it up. Oh, God. But yes, anhedonia is very, very serious and crippling. I'm a minority case here. Like, most people with anhedonia would not be able to run a YouTube channel. They might be able to upload a video, but that's it. I don't really see them uploading as many videos as I have. So it does leave me wondering, well, I have experienced the worst of it. I know what it's like when you get out of bed and there's nothing to look forward to. When you get out of bed and typing a sentence is like doing an Olympic sport. I know what it's like to get out of bed and feel like someone's problems are just, stop talking about them, I don't care. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to lack emotions, to lack the ability to care that someone else is suffering, because you just don't have the emotional capacity to deal with all that shit. Well, I do know all that, but at the same time, the more I cope in the way that I'm explaining, the more I feed into these things I used to like and enjoy, the less dead inside I feel, and the more I'm wondering, Well, what is this now? How come I feel dead inside again if I stop doing this? Like, if what I have isn't Anhedonia, what do I have? What's going on? And I do not believe a professional can tell me this. I'm not even sure anything or anyone can tell me this. I think I'll just have to see. I'll just have to wait it out and see what happens. And now Kyobe over there on the left, the bunny cat hybrid alien from hell. Yes, from hell. He's pretty much a symbolic representation of, why did I forget that you exist in a form of media? Why did I forget you exist? Why? In any case, he's also a reminder of, well, there are many cases where I wanted something and I got it, and I regretted it instantly. Remember when I used to joke about feeling dead inside. After a breakup, I lost all of my emotions, all of them. I'm not just talking about the good ones, or even some of the bad ones. I'm saying all of them. And it was bad. I was numb, completely numbed to all emotions. I was basically like Yozuru here. Except I recovered. I don't know how long that period of complete numbness lasted, but I know that I was depending on my memories to know how to behave and how to act and how to respond appropriately. I'm glad that was temporary, because if it wasn't, well, my memory is awful. I probably would have turned into an awful person. Although, I don't necessarily have the best opinion of myself from back then, so I kind of do think I was awful back then. Yeah, I kind of actually do. So I have stopped joking about not wanting my emotions. I have stopped joking about wanting to completely uninstall them, because it's not funny. You want your emotions, you don't want them gone. And now, what is something else I've stopped joking about? What is something else I've stopped joking about? Let's see. I'm sure there are many other examples. I have sort of stopped joking about feeling dead inside because, well, that became a reality. And because this is in the spiritual playlist, I'm sure many people could just reference whatever they could. They could reference the law of attraction. Like, dude, no. Don't reference that in front of me. I would get pissed off at you. I have Anhedonia, but Anhedonia never numbed my anger, okay? Anyway. Back to what I was saying. There are things that I just don't joke about anymore, because they aren't funny. They aren't funny at all. And when you get what you want, well, it's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, Kyobe is pretty much the symbolic representation of that. Be careful what you wish for. And be careful what you wish for is also why I cannot go into the full story of my experiences in this video. Be careful what you wish for, or you'll get it. And you may come to regret it. Like Yozuru and everyone else that contracts with Kyobe. Yeah. So, and that wraps it up for this video. I don't think it was particularly good, but I have Anhedonia, so did you expect something of good quality? Well, to be honest, I kind of wished I did better. And that's also why I'm hoping this next video is the better. Yeah, this is the introduction. Let's hope the better is coming later on. Anyway, guys, this is Lorena. I'm finished talking about this. Hopefully, the second portion of this topic is much, much better. And I sound more educated. But yes, do remember to be careful when you wish for things, because the universe can, in fact, deliver. That is the message of the entire Magica franchise and every other related Whenever you see Kyobe, be careful, because he's watching. He's watching everything. Everything. He will stare into your soul.